Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds, hanging out with a bunch of nerds today. We're going to be playing some Open Legend RPG, sponsored by Open Legend RPG. Thank you, Brian Feaster. We were playing our Aether Skies campaign, and we are now on session 6, I believe. So last we left off, we were in the city of Fellcrest, and you guys have come to the conclusion that I believe that you are not going to try and infiltrate the dwarven city of, what was the name of that, Doug?
Pietracus.
And try and garner more information, because apparently the dwarves, they've been running black ops into the world below for years, but instead you guys are just going to blindly rush down there and see what there is to see, despite the protests of Dr. Lucy.
We're stupid that way.
For the record, I protested against it too, but I was also told we ain't getting no experience unless we go, so whatever.
Well, Dave says that he's mastered the rule set, so he really needs to get us into some combat. So I think that's
let the violence and bloodshed flow. Already the Man of War is playing in my head.
Sorry, for me, the battle soundtrack will always be
Conan. Yeah. So with that, is there anything you guys need to do or want to do before you depart? And infiltrating the dwarven stronghold is always still on the table.
Logically speaking, Bunny doesn't know what kind of things we're going to be going into. So like, yeah, he would want to be like extra prepared on not only like the typical things, but the odd stuff of like, oh well, this might come up and that might come up. So anything and everything that he can actually get on the ship, he's gonna want.
Israel is going to check out the ship's guns and make sure all of them are in working order and clean and loaded and all that kind of stuff. But he also, when Dr. Lucy comes on board, when he can get a moment alone with her, he would like to speak with her.
Oh, good.
Bow wow wow.
No.
You made it weird.
And basically he will approach her and say, Doctor, first of all, I realize I ended up making the final decision, the final vote to go on this mission, which you were against. So I had my reasons, which you may or may not agree with, but what I really wanted to talk with you about is when we go down to the surface world, if we run into a situation like we did in Haven, I am requesting, no, almost begging that you not attempt to what your friend did to save us. I don't know if you even have those capabilities. I'm not sure that individual knew that they had those capabilities. So that's what I ask, that you not attempt to do that. And if worse comes to worse, I would rather sacrifice myself. And though I know I seem rather mundane and do not have the talents that you and some of the others in our group do, I do have certain capabilities that I would attempt to use. Long story short, I would rather sacrifice myself than you or another member of the party.
I'm honestly not sure how to respond to that. Do you have a death wish?
He'll kind of grin. Possibly. And then he'll just turn and walk away unless she says something to him.
No, she actually chuckles and then goes back to her cabin.
Okay. So Captain Varkin calls out, to see if making sure everyone is ready for disembarkment, well, not disembarkment, to set sail into the blue. And so basically, she gives the order. The lines are all cast off, and you guys are now free flying away from the city. So, what course did you guys plan on plotting?
I believe we were looking to Roz for that
Down?
information.
Down?
Nosedive.
Well, let's see. The mountainous region to the west was the most disastrous. So I would say probably the field of crystal and glass, because we were there the longest and it appeared to be the safest. That was where people vanished, but since we were able to survive there the longest before having to leave, I would say that might be the best place to check out first.
Okay.
Question to the dwarf. If we go below and run into some of your fellow kinsmen, are they allies or enemies?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, there's probably no love lost between her and the military. I mean, I would say we should probably approach with caution or restraint.
Okay. All right, I'll also throw out there, you guys had originally talked about actually trying to get to the curtain and check out the ground near the curtain. So I guess what I'm asking is, like, how close, like, do you want to go to the north to the glass plains like you said, or do you have like a predetermined distance in your mind from the curtain that you want to try and go to and then try and approach from the ground?
Oh, yeah, if that's an option.
How far is the glass plains from the curtain?
Okay, so the glass plains is to the north of the city of, I'm sorry, Doug, was it Petrakis? Petrakis is to the far south of, if you remember from the very first session, basically where the barrier was made up of the actual floating cities. So that one is the furthest to the south. So it is, the plains is like probably like halfway between Petrakis and Haven, which is where the fallen city that returned and where the barrier of gloom is.
Oh, well, in that case, I would say we should probably go closer to our original destination. I honestly just forgot about that as a player. But yeah, what do you guys think? Like, that was our intention. We should probably, I don't want to land like right there, but maybe like a few miles.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so you can absolutely do that. You guys have to track basically to the south from where you're at now, and you're gonna actually have to like circumnavigate the gloom itself. So generally, ships are fairly wary of that area to begin with, and they give it a wide berth. So,
what kind of travel time are we expecting?
Well, from where you guys are currently, it is probably about 2 weeks to the gloom, and then if you want to actually try and enter the gloom from the far side back towards Petrakis, then it's going to be like another week to circumnavigate it.
I don't know. The far side might have too many funny things.
Yeah.
All right, at least somebody got it.
Oh, I think we all got it. It was just that bad.
I thought it was funny.
There are no bad puns, Dave.
Oh, no bad puns, just bad pun tellers.
Oh.
That's dangerous. They're in the same room together too.
And Ted's got like 7 swords near him.
Great.
Exactly.
Three swords and a couple daggers.
Daggers are throwable.
Well, no, not
throwing distance. Yeah.
Not this one. It's pretty heavy.
Roll for initiative.
You could throw it; it'd just be at disadvantage.
Damn it, Ty! You would say that. This reminds me that my dice are on the other side of the room.
Raz would probably want to speak with Krizik, and as fellow former military folks, kind of like, well,
That's all right,
you know, being in these dangerous situations was kind of like where we felt comfortable. I mean, I know it was different circumstances for Krizik, but going back to that, there might be some level of comfort in being in like that kind of dangerous environment. But with our experiences with all this, psychic kind of stuff, I would kind of want to ask him, if he's detecting any kind of presence like that, to just kind of like
be
be
scanning.
alert. Yeah. If you
Yeah,
could
on
do
top
that.
of that, I was also thinking that Krizik should take lead, should take point.
I'm okay with that. Raz is good at following orders, despite the fact that she's not in the military anymore.
How does
Not
the
giving
command-
orders.
how does the
Krizik
commander
definitely
feel?
wouldn't give orders.
How does the
And
commander
usually
feel
nobody
about-
has a problem with somebody volunteering to take lead.
You
Take
mean
point.
as far as like leading the way, just because of your
I
scanning
mean, like
ability?
taking point.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because my psychic abilities, the resonance, and all that stuff, and
Sure.
plus, like if I'm in the back, I'm probably going to be the biggest target here. Second by Megan. So Dr. Lucy. So yeah, just looking at it that way. But
Okay.
whoever wants to take lead takes lead, but I'll take point.
You just
I
said
think-
you're the biggest target as a kobold.
Biggest target? I figured as the psychic, I'd be the biggest target.
Yeah.
I think he was making a joke about your height.
That's fine. He's probably getting me back because he thinks I called him fat a couple of games ago.
That's funny.
Well, just remember, whatever he does to you in this game, you can always make it up to him in the phase rip game.
That's how it works. So you guys set out, and pretty much you guys have your normal routines on the ship. Bunny is actually usually the most busy. Always checking on things to make sure the ship is in full form. The crew, they're professionals. They know their business. They set about it pretty much. There's different shifts. Is there anything in particular that you guys would want to do?
Any free time that I might have when I'm not running around crazy doing the things that I do, I would like to try and make a couple of the my ether batteries, for lack of a better word, in case I
Okay.
need to create a bomb or something breaks on one of my things. I can be able to go in and recharge it faster.
Okay. So
I guess with
you're able to do that.
Go ahead. I guess with Raz's free time, as far as having like an in-story reason, she would probably work with Bunny too for the upgrade to her arm that we discussed off camera.
Okay.
Just kind of work that out.
Installing a Gatling gun. Actually, I was wondering about Dr. Lucy's dagger that she keeps close by her. I'm wondering if we should take that, leave that, not even land with it, just something along those lines. I wonder if that's
She
going to be like a
hadn't
beacon.
even brought it up because she was just going to keep it in her bag and not tell anybody.
She puts it underneath her pillow so she can caress it at night.
It's not quite that level of creepy yet.
Note the yet.
Yet it's coming. So one of the things, Megan,
Yes.
well, Dr. Lucy, I should say, Krizik, and Bunny. You guys, as you get closer and closer to the gloom, the nightmares get a little bit worse. The dreams get a little more vivid, and the even during the day, every once in a while you'll feel a bit of a yearning or a pull towards that direction. You feel like you're being beckoned.
Bunny's resolve is not all that high, so
He's ready to go.
It's never too dark for me.
Did you say it's never too dark?
Yes.
Okay. Just something for you guys to keep in mind. But for the most part, the voyage has been rather mundane and boring. The crew is friendly and professional, and you can interact with them as much as you like. They are sailors, so basically they act like sailors. What you could expect, that term "swear like a sailor" came from someplace.
So the further in we get, I don't know whether the dreams or the visions intensify, but I'm gonna try and throw myself in. Buddy's gonna throw himself into his work, and like to the point where he'll work until he collapses from exhaustion.
Okay.
To try and see if that does anything to counteract these things.
So the vibe I get, he's almost trying to ostrich it.
Yes.
Okay. So to a certain extent, it does work. Like it does. Instead, like when you first realized what was going on, it kind of made it a little bit hard to get rest and fall asleep. But now you're falling asleep because you're basically working yourself to exhaustion. The downside, it does not stem the tide of the nightmares or the dreams. They're still they're still coming. They're still flowing, and what you are finding is it's harder to wake up in the morning and escape them.
Lovely.
Alcohol might help. But
I was just gonna say I would probably, if I saw Bunny down there working so hard, I'd offer him a pull of my vodka.
So, with that, anyone who wants to just notice that Bunny does seem to be avoiding, sleep or work, maybe not. Maybe you don't even notice that he's avoiding sleep, but seems to be working extra hard
and looks exhausted all the time.
What are the odds that Krizik and I would make the connection, since we're also having these dreams?
I could read his mind.
I actually think it would be fairly good. No rolls, no checks. You can decide to tell me whether you feel like that's something you would connect.
More specific. Go ahead, Megan.
Go ahead.
Oh, fine. Oh, whoa! Ty just got killed.
No,
Commander!
Ty.
He really does have a death wish.
I guess so. He literally just dropped.
He gave in to the nightmares.
He wasn't even receiving them. He gave into your nightmares.
That's
how bad they are.
Actually, what I was thinking was with Bunny, in control. I was thinking that maybe once in a while I can actually have because Bunny and I go way back. So I was thinking once in a while I could just sit down and do like a meditation session with him and calm him down just so he can get that sleep once in a while and, along those lines.
Okay. You can try that, but give me a DC 15 your prescience ability. You're muted.
23.
Okay, 23. You do it easily. Bunny, you do feel calmed and feel it's easier to rest after a couple sessions with Krizix. Krizix experiences while he's doing this, though, he experiences a emotional feedback that he wasn't expecting. And you almost, when you're doing it, you feel those feelings that you're getting from your own dreams, that longing and that dread, kind of mingling it with bunnies, and you actually had to overcome that. It almost during one of the early sessions coalesced it into like a monster that you had to psychically battle, and you were able to defeat it handily. But definitely there was a presence there that was made up of your combined bad dreams, let's just say.
That is not cool.
Actually, okay, so then I wonder if I can make a ring with, since I know that Megan is also having these issues, maybe the three of us once a night for an hour can actually sit down just to make sure that we're battling demons, we're keeping them at bay, and, plus, if we're all able to see that these things can be defeated, that's going to seriously increase our morale.
Does Krizik say, I wonder if I can make a ring?
A ring? What do you mean?
I think you meant like a ring of people.
Did you actually use that kind of phrasing?
Well, yeah. as opposed to a circle jerk.
I think he meant like sit in a ring.
Because you're talking about having us sit together and do it, whereas Bunny would make the association of, oh well, I wonder if I could actually construct a device to do this.
Because of your over. Oh, I think Krizik would have known that, and yeah, I'd be happy to explain. I'd probably grab your hand from the tinkering hammer, and be like, no, Bunny, relax, not that kind of this different analogy. think homonym.
So when you do that, and that's an excellent idea. With advantage, one, give me another prescience check, but DC 20 this time. As you do the ring the first time, you draw in the negativity from Dr. Lucy as well, and it combines with the remnants of your own nightmares as well as Bunny.
Okay, so how do I do it with advantage?
So your attribute die for presence is
It's
what?
2d6.
So you would roll 3 d6 and a d20, and then you would choose 2 of the d6 that are the better, and just count that with a d20.
Done. Duh, I used to threw a 10-sider in there by accident. Okay. 22. I actually got a 22.
Nice.
Excellent. So again, you find you experience the exact same thing, but now this time it's an amalgamation of all 3 of the nightmares, and you're actually able to handily defeat the creature once again. And from a second combat, you kind of gather that it isn't an external thing; it lives in each of you, and it isn't really sentient per se. It's more of it is literally a manifestation of your own negative emotions.
Oh,
That's awesome. So
That
we all
explains a
realize
lot.
that then.
Yes.
Cool.
Lucy is kind of fond of it, by the way.
Can I keep it?
Not like that.
Yeah. And once Lucy decides that, it takes a form. What does it look like to Lucy now?
Like a little dragon.
Okay, so it looks like a little dragon, except for it's kind of sickly, very like skinny and emaciated, as well as it has it's dark scaled with veins of like a luminescent, almost lime running through it, and then the eyes are also that same color. So
Okay.
it is a
Krizik's
little warped looking.
Krizik's going to make a joke here. It's like, Bunny and Krizik look like dragon. What kind of nonsense is this?
Not that kind of nonsense.
We're not green.
Racism. Unbelievable.
It's not a reflection on you.
Demon nightmares look like kobolds? Jeez.
Have you not read Elven fairy tales?
Krizik know how to read.
Well,
Okay,
she
gonna totally read them some fairy tales at some point while we're on the boat. That's definitely something that's going to happen. Like Lucy's just appalled
That's totally
by
got to include Corral also.
well,
So
Dr. Lucy does say that she like it, and she like kobold, so can't be that bad.
So, and it doesn't take that form until, because you guys are kind of all linked, until you start feeling like this feeling of like approval kind of wash out from Dr. Lucy. And then it begins to take that form, and it almost kind of reminds you of like a cat when you kind of see it around her. As soon as you guys break, you won't be able to see it anymore, without being linked. And it acts kind of cat-like, but very like when cats are being dicks is kind of what it reminds you of. And also, if you go with the cat analogy, it would look more like the Pet Cemetery cat after it came back than
Beg for food, knock it out.
yeah. So you don't actually have to continue with the circles if you don't want to. You've actually contained these negative feelings, and also if you you may or may not feel a little creeped out by Dr. Lucy's embracing of this thing.
Cool. And just for a side note, Krizik's going to walk around and check to see if anybody else has those problems and offer the same services. I'll be the Deanna Troy of this ship.
No. No, and do not ever get in my head without my permission.
I'm pretty sure Krizik's reading our minds all the time.
Krizik no get this permission thing. Krizik able to do. Obviously, someone give Krizik permission. You permission thing weird. Anyway, Krizik no have same hang-ups as big giant pigman human.
I'm going to make a tinfoil hat for Israel just to see if he actually wears it.
No. If you're not going to ask permission
and say, I can't, think, cannot hear your thoughts anymore with tinfoil hat on. I would totally do that.
Oh no!
All the bad guys are going to show up with tinfoil hats on from now on.
Yeah. Cobalt,
figured out my secret.
Or the boss will show up. It'll be some big Cthulhu boss with a big tinfoil hat in its head.
All tentacles and tinfoil hat.
Yes. And Cobalt, if you're not going to ask permission to enter my mind, then I won't ask permission to shoot you afterwards.
Been there, done that.
So, so that's probably like the first week and a half on the ship. You guys are pretty much out in the blue, in the middle of nowhere, kind of, soaring through the clouds. And when you guys hear a call from one of the sailors, he calls out, "Strut strikers to the port side!" And
I will rush towards it.
When you look, you see what looks to be, at first it just looks like a cloud or a flock of maybe birds or something. But as it begins to get closer, you see that the individual shapes kind of look like flat, 3 foot long. They remind you kind of like of lampreys, except for they seem to be like swimming through the air. And let's see, Bunny and Dr. Lucy, there's a good chance you guys actually know what they are. What skill sets do you guys have? Learning.
My learning is 2. My logic is 5.
My learning is 5.
Okay. So it's Dr. Lucy that actually knows what these things are, and you know that the strut striker is just a slang term for these things. You've also heard to them referred to as ether parasites, and they have a bunch of different names, but it doesn't matter what you call them. At the end of the day, they do the same thing. Basically, for the most part, they just spend most of their time and lives just gliding through the air, sucking up ether. Pretty much harmless. They're encountered on the cities, and there's actually crews of people that kind of take care of vermin that get into the cities, and this is just one of the vermin that they would take care of and get rid of. A couple of them here and there, not going to harm a city, not a big deal. They're a real danger to ships, though, because what they do is they attach themselves to the struts and begin leeching off the ether of the ship. Without the ship drawing the ether, it will not stay in the air.
That would be bad.
So are they incoming or have they already attached?
They are incoming.
Well, so they're going to go underneath the ship at some point in time if they get close enough, right?
Well, the struts surround the ship.
Okay.
Then the ship also has those turbines underneath the skirt, which is underneath, which isn't something most ships have. But they're going to home in on any source of ether that they can. And also, right now, one of you have an ether smith arm, and Bunny carries a lot of ether gadgets, and Dr. Lucy is constantly, absorbing and wielding ethers. So the rest of you have nothing to worry about.
So I am going to, I know there are lines on either side of the ship. So, I mean, it's the only way that people can go and work on it while you're in the air.
Mhm.
So I will, attach my, attach to a harness or however it's set up so that I can be able to, if necessary, climb down there without fear of falling.
Can I flare Aether to try and draw them in so that they'll be easier to dispatch?
So where do you want to try and draw them to? Yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, you could absolutely do that. Also, the Captain Valkyrin kind of comes up to Israel and kind of claps you on the back. Good idea bringing those black powder weapons. Our ether cannons are going to be useless against these things.
Yes, thank you. As I touch a flare to a hole in a cannon.
And in the meantime, and swords, as well as some black powder weapons of their own. Some of them look like they're just as likely to explode as they are to fire because they're kind of old and antiquish. So you guys, give me an agility check for your initiative.
5.
19.
24.
26.
14.
Okay, so 26 is up.
All right, that would be me. I'm gonna pull out my flintlock pistol and just fire a shot at the closest one. So that would be my agility versus guard, right? That is 12.
It goes off wide. As as one of those things, they just kind of like, they look like they're swimming thugh the air, and just kind of like flutters up as your shot passes underneath of it.
All right.
So what was the next highest? Was that a 22?
24.
24. You're up then.
All right, so my gun draws in ether and produces fire. That's not going to do anything here, right?
Fire, it will work.
All right, and that's what I shall do.
What is the range on that? 25?
It's standard for whatever a light weapon is.
What is the rank?
My agility is 4.
Okay, you're just using the weapon out of the.
No, I'm using my ether gun. It doesn't have a stat because it's something that I created.
Yeah, but do you have energy?
Energy 3.
Energy 3. Okay. All right. So you have to wait a little bit for them to come into you, and then you can fire. But go ahead.
Oh, my 10 exploded. So 24.
A 24 will absolutely hit. So, oh, that's right. I'm waiting for damage dice. It doesn't work that way.
No.
So you one of the ones gets engulfed in flames and kind of begins to shriek, and shrivel as the fires begin to consume it, and then it just, the husk kind of begins to fall from the sky with ash like dripping off of it. So with that, the rest of them kind of like surge forward and begin attaching themselves to the struts. And 2 of them come in your direction, Bunny. Ooh, so that. and you're easily able to, kind of like you're on the line, so you like swing out of the way of it and kind of kick it away from you
Nice.
easily. What is your guard?
16.
A 16. Okay, so one of them hits, but it doesn't actually hit you. It actually hits your gun. And the thing is like probably bigger than your gun, and it's kind of like slapping around because the thing is almost as long as you are tall. And it begins draining your gun. It's not going to be able to fire next round.
I figured this was going to happen, which is why I've got my knife.
Oh no. Dr. Lucy, you're there kind of gathering up Aether, getting ready to unleash and draw them in towards you. But that being said, there's a couple incoming. One of them you actually are able to just kind of... Other one. 16 for guard.
Oh yes, that absolutely hits.
What is your guard?
10.
Oh, okay. So you actually take 6 points of damage as its lamprey mouth. It has no teeth, mind you. It is actually more of like a sucker fish, like an algae eater that kind of just like slaps onto your side and creates this suction, and you can just feel it draining the Aether from your body, and with it, your life force that's actually attached to it.
So you're not a very agile elf, are you?
No, absolutely not.
She's not that kind of elf.
Not that kind of elf.
All right, so that was 22. Who was the next highest?
Israel had a 19.
Okay, I believe that would be you then.
Are there still some in the air flying towards us?
No, now they're basically kind of like swarming the ship.
Okay, damn it. All right, I'm going to run over. I'm going to quick draw my sword, run over to Dr. Lucy, and take a swipe trying to knock this thing off of her.
Okay.
Just make sure her head is still attached.
I got a 16.
16? Yeah, that will hit against their guard. So
Okay.
it takes 3 points of damage as you kind of like nick it, trying to get it off. It's still attached to her and still squirming. Your hesitance to like full on go at it with it attached to Dr. Lucy is probably what kept you from just cleaving the thing in half.
Okay.
And then it's between Dr. Lucy and Krizik.
Krizik is 14.
I rolled a 5. I'm last.
Okay. Krizik is going to touch Dr. Lucy's arm to get her attention and say, "Show Krizik what am them natural enemy," and just touch her forehead and see if something just comes to light really quick.
Well, she knows she'd think about it.
Okay, so what actually appears in your mind is this enormous, looks like a blue whale. That's what you would describe it as, except for much like these things. Now that they're closer, you actually see the coloration of them, and you actually get to see the coloration change. The one on Bunny's gun as well as the one on Dr. Lucy, they're kind of black with these white speckles. But as they absorb the energy, there's the speckles grow, making them almost like this luminescent white color. Well, you see what looks like a blue whale, but very much like that. And except for the actual where the flippers and fins would be, they're even larger in conjunction with the rest of the creature. And they kind of like swim through the air eating these things like they're a plankton or something.
Nice. Do I have a sound also?
Yes.
Could you make it for me?
My whale song is a little off.
Okay, fine. Okay.
It'll just sound like a dying cow.
Okay. I'm going to create a phantasm, 15 by 15 by 15 cube, and make the image and the sound giant right over top of the ship and just swarming around them. So everyone and everything can see that.
Okay, so really, 15 by 15 cube is like a baby one of these things. It would technically be bigger than the ship or the size of the ship, an actual one.
You're supposed to say it's not the size of the well that matters.
Oh, oh man. So you do that. Make an attack against their resolve.
Okay. Influence versus resolve. My influence is only 4.
Only? That's actually pretty good, I believe.
Well, my other stuff is 5.
Wow. Right now,
okay, 21.
Okay, 21?
Yes.
All right. So literally half of them flee. So,
Sweet.
They're swimming.
And this doesn't disappear, so I'm just going to keep it up and hope that
Okay.
everybody in the crew doesn't start shooting at my whale.
Well, there is always that possibility. So the crew begins, setting about, attacking these ones. Like, some of them are like literally hanging from the struts, trying to pry them off on different points of the ship. Others are taking shots at them. Captain Barkin is running up and down the deck, screaming at her crew. If that you damage those struts, I'll take it out of your hide and then your pay. And I'm not sure which is going to be worse. She barks orders, pulls her own pistol, shoots one of them off. Go ahead, Krizix. I mean, not Krizix. No, Dr. Lucy.
Can I cast with this thing attached to me?
Yes, you can.
Okay. In that case, I am going to throw up an entropic barrier. Like an aura of an entropic barrier.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to make it a damaging barrier. So like sort of black smoke, like kind of the tendrily looking stuff, but not as solid as the stuff that she used to restrain the one guy. Kind of winds up around her and will do 1d4 damage to things trying to pass through the barrier.
Okay, that like that construct, no matter what it looks like, you really are just manipulating ether, and it is ether, and these things eat that.
Yes.
So you don't think it'll harm them if that's what you're trying to do, but it will probably attract them.
I am still trying to attract them. If they're in one place, it'll be easier for people to get at them.
Okay. Yeah, just for clarification. So, because when he uses his ether, it actually converted it to a different energy type. So.
Also, I can enter a battle trance as a free action, so I'm gonna do that. It doesn't help my guard, but it does help my toughness and resolve, and I need the hit points.
Okay.
Oh, my total armor bonus is less than 3, so it becomes 3. So.
Woohoo!
So it does help my guard a little bit.
That brings us to Raz, the battle-hardened dwarf.
Okay, so several of them have fled, right?
Yes.
And was there just one attacking Bunny?
There was 2 attacked Bunny.
Okay, I'm gonna head over towards Bunny and provoke the other ones, and maybe power up my arm just so it has other coming from it, and say, "Come on, I'm here, do it! Come on, get me!" And I will use my provoked ability.
Okay.
Which is presence versus resolve, and that is 24. Had a couple of explosions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You provoke them.
All right, so they have disadvantage 2 on attacking anything but me.
So
and is that? I wasn't sure. Is that a full action to do that?
I don't know. What kind of action does it say it is?
It doesn't.
Because it's a boon, right?
The Bane.
A Bane? Yeah. So you'd have to invoke it. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'll do that, and then just get my big old Bowie knife ready for them in my other hand, my non-mechanical hand, and
Okay.
just
Yeah.
provoke
So
them to
essentially, your words mean absolutely nothing to them. So basically, you basically over-channel the arm in order to produce as much ether from it as you can to kind of entice them.
Okay.
And you know, both they basically rear up almost like snakes ready to wanting to strike, including the one that is actually on your gun, Ted, and they begin to shoot off in that direction. But they're still near Bunny. So as you act.
Well, as the one that that rears up, my actual 20 exploded, so I hit AC 34 with my shiv.
Oh yeah, you just split this thing. Basically, it rears up, and you just shove your knife up underneath into the sucker, and it actually, you know, was so eager to get at the ether in Raz's arm, it went to shoot forward and literally just sliced itself in half.
Nice.
And I wink at Bunny.
So with that, you know, the other one though launches itself towards Raz, but you're easily able to, as it comes to your mechanical arm and is able to go after it. You actually just like punch down on its head, pushing it away from you, and it just bounces off, you know, off the decking.
Awesome.
The one attached to Dr. Lucy will attempt to stay so, and you're actually able to shake it off.
Good.
You know, it seems like it was probably distracted by that barrier you created, and seems interested in that. And the other one that was around you also, you know, shoots forward to the barrier, and they're actually feeding on it. So what is that? That's a minor action to sustain.
Yeah, it's this. Hold on. Yeah, it's sustain persists.
Yeah, so you're just kind of focusing on that for your minor. That's there. More of them begin to kind of like rear up their heads, and what, you know, although the other struts draw in a lot of power, they're conduits where you actually are manifesting pure ether all around you. So, you know, about a dozen more of them shoot up, and they are now sucking on that barrier.
If they're sucking on the barrier, they're not sucking on me. So
what I'm going to actually have you do though is make an entropy check to see they may actually completely absorb the barrier.
oh darn, that was a really, really bad D20 roll.
You can always push it.
I could. I think I'm gonna have to. Okay, let me read how this works again really quick. So I can use this to give myself advantage on the entropy roll. Is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay.
Up to 3, I believe, right? What's your other score?
It's 3.
3. Okay. Yeah. So you can pop up to 3 if you want. Just remember how that works, right? It's also attack. It becomes an attack on them and you.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so it's just like the highest roll out of the 3. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang. Okay. So 12 total. That D20 roll was really bad.
Okay, so you pump it up, and it's enough to it's enough to make it last just long enough, but you know, then it gets absorbed. Your resolve is like a 14 or something.
Right now, it's 17.
Okay, because you're about
battle trans.
Okay, so your sanity is still intact, and you're fine.
Oh, I've got a separate sanity pool. Oh wait, no, never mind. That's the defense, not the hit points. My bad.
Yeah. No worries. And that's what I meant. It didn't get through your defense. So with that, okay. Ty, you were up. Israel, you see Dr. Lucy over there, you know, channeling this black smoke and tendrils around you guys, and now all these critters are basically sucking on that, and it is nearly depleted.
How many of these critters are there approximately?
Like a dozen.
Oh, geez. Okay, well, I was pretty close to the doctor since I took a swipe near her. Okay. I'm not exactly sure how this will work, but I take a knee, I bend down, turn my sword, point it downwards, and just kind of hold my hands on it, and I close my eyes. And I'm basically going to do a nullify bane in a 5-foot cube centered around, well, myself and the doctor. I'm trying to hit all 12 of these things. Basically, I can cancel any boon of power level 3 or lower automatically, except if it's an area of effect, I have to roll against. Well, there's a little equation, but I have to roll against the boon of these creatures, and I'm not really sure what boon it would be, honestly.
Okay, that part is for me. So you're just gonna make your roll, and then I will roll. I will set your DC.
Yeah, okay. Just according to the special rules underneath Nullify, the CR would be 10 plus 2 times the boon level, unless you're doing something else.
Okay, so what is it? CR?
The CR is 10 plus 2 times the boon level. The boon's power level. So I have to beat whatever that would be with my protection, which is fair. Not okay. I rolled a natural 20.
Yeah, that's
so. Altogether, I got a 28.
Did you explode the D20?
I did, and rolled a 3.
No.
So yeah, so the second roll wasn't that great, but I got a 28 altogether.
Well, you needed a 22, so you absolutely do that. And what that actually does, because everything that they all of their basic life functions and how they operate is based off of their ability to absorb and drink ether. You basically totally create an area where they can't. You create a circumstance where they can't do that, and now a dozen of them just fall to the deck and kind of like flopping around you guys. So it looks like a bunch of eels or snakes on the deck with their lamprey mouths, kind of like looking for something to latch onto, and they're like pitifully sucking at the air, but there is no ether to draw in for them.
Okay. Afraid some bad things might happen, but
well, when you see them do that, they don't actually have any teeth. It literally looks like a suction cup almost, where their mouth is.
Okay. Everybody start kicking these things overboard.
They're
stab them.
So once that happens, like the sailors are like basically what Bunny says, stab them, and you guys can easily start setting about with knives or whatever, or the sailors do, and they just come up and gut them like they're nothing, because their biggest threat is actually to the ship. They don't really have the ability to harm most people. Ethermancers are a little bit different because their life force is tied to ether. When they get the ether sucked out of them, so does their life force go with it.
Great.
I am going to take one of the dead ether suckers so that I can study it.
I saw that happening.
Yeah, that thing's gonna be cut up and pinned. Yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Oh.
And also, so what you guys just saw was Israel take a knee, stick his sword in the planks, and seem to maybe concentrate. Yeah, Roz and Bunny probably didn't notice that. Krizik is right there, and Dr. Lucy is obviously right there. So you guys did, and the other sailors are kind of like, in the aftermath, like, what happened? What's going on? What made them all fall?
I'm gonna give you this look. Like, do you actually want them to know what just happened? Like, I'm trying to gauge how clandestine you're being about this.
I did it right out in the open in front of everybody. I mean, there was no hiding it. I mean, if you're going to verbally ask, I might say something, but if you're just giving me a look.
Yeah, some of the sailors, the first mate absolutely does.
I handled them. I put my sword away. I'm kind of not looking anyone in the eye.
Yeah, you certainly did. Yeah, he kind of calls at your back.
Everybody knew he was good with that blade.
So,
I'm not gonna tattle on you.
So do we know anything else about these creatures? Are they literally just like snakes?
Like snakes in what way? Actually, they're more like a lamprey or a giant leech.
Is there any meat on them? Are they consumable? Can you do anything with their skins?
That's a good question. Yeah, their skin is you can kind of make like a leather out of it. If you have the right chemicals and know the process. And also the skin itself is Aether reactive, so
having Aether reactive skin for artificing doesn't sound so bad. And you said these things are about the same size as I am?
Lengthwise, but they're only like 8 inches wide. They have a flat body. Like I said, they look like if you took a leech and kind of made it flat, and then they have a sucker at the end where their head is, which is slightly broader than the rest of them,
like a tapeworm.
Yeah, kind of like that. And like I said, the sucker looks very much like if you've ever seen an algae eater or a sucker fish, whatever you want to call them.
So I'll ask if anybody actually has any tanning or leatherworking skills. Because I could grab a couple of them and I could get a cloak out of it. I think that'd be kind of cool.
You are a strange kobold bunny.
And as far as being edible, there is meat on them, but not very much. It would literally all of them would be like eating it'd be like picking through crabs to get the crab legs, and I don't mean king crab legs, regular sized crabs.
Well, I'll start talking in Aether engineering, until you're like, all right, that's more than I understand. Talking about the uses for their Aether susceptibility and stuff.
You know what? That's genius, actually. If you were to try and figure out their biology, along with Dr. Lucy, I assume, who's going to be our next Aristotle, catching one of everything and studying it, you would actually be able to, I imagine, be able to tinker a device that would suck ether from a being or something like that.
Bunny, I would be more than happy to have you in my lab for the dissection.
You lost me, and I'm going to make a cloak out of it.
No. You lost me when I said I'm playing a kobold.
So when you say that, one of the sailors kind of stops in their track and go, "Whoa! That's our chief engineer. No dissecting the engineer."
No,
this, not him.
Oh, makes a face and kind of keeps going.
So no takers on tanners or leather workers on ship?
Yeah, you can find someone with that skill set.
Okay.
Crowing a ship, there's people that have to kind of know how to do a little bit of everything. There is someone that kind of knows. They're not particularly good at it, but they understand it.
Well,
if you're actually making this cloak, you should actually have it so it attaches with the two suckers, right onto a chest plate.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of the suckers. That's I think where it kind of crosses into my no-go zone.
That's where you draw the line?
Yes.
Just checking. Big. Never mind. I'm sure
Alright,
some of
so-
us have kids that have breastfed and stuff, and but
All right, so I will. I will get whatever crewman number 17 is that's willing to help me out, and maybe I'll etherflash something for him or do whatever as exchange of service.
yeah, Pinkerton, he's the guy. He's the guy for you. Like, he works with anything on the ship that has to do with canvas or rope. So they use
He's
leather
good.
casings for different things.
Awesome. So is he like is he doing it begrudgingly, or is he like, oh, this is interesting, or you're out of your flipping mind, or
It is actually kind of like a combination of all of that, right? So he's more than happy to give you a hand. He does think it's a little weird. He's not particularly grossed out, and he's a little intrigued by the idea that you're going to make something useful out of these little parasites that are basically a nuisance.
I wonder if some kind of a covering could be made from those. That way they could be some kind of shielding that could be placed on ships to protect them from these creatures.
oh, now that I come up with it, it's not so bad.
Kobold appropriation.
Wow. Okay, that was good. That was good. I was actually thinking to use my ability instead of like deafen or blind to maybe make like an olfactory prevention, so that they wouldn't know. We'd be able to disguise the smell of Aether on the ship next time.
I don't even know whether like taste, smell, or sight. Like there might be a whole extra sense.
It is, and Dr. Lucy already knows that if you ask her.
I figured
They
it.
they actually see the other. They sense that. They
Oh, okay.
literally have their existence is but one thing, and it is that's to consume ether and reproduce.
So next time I could just use a form of blind on them, and then we're good.
Assuming you can fathom that sense, yes. That was not a shot at your intelligence. I realize it could have been taken as one.
Even if it were, I would have totally gone over Krizzik's head. So
So with that, the excitement for the day is over. The cleanup begins. They're like, "Where do you want all these?" And they start kind of stacking them like flat pieces of wood. And one of the crewmen, it's kind of like stacking them and for you is like, "Are these going to stink?" We usually just throw them overboard when we get them, or they fall overboard. We don't have to worry about it.
Well, if there's I kind of nudge it at Pinkerton, like there's clearly ways to strip out the stuff that's going to stink and get that dealt with quickly, right?
You can. Well, I mean, there's a dozen of them, so it's going to take a little time, but yeah. So a couple hours, you guys are slicing and scraping. And then what you find too is like as you do that, there's no bones. It's all cartilage, and muscle. And then tiny little brains. And they have this weird vein system that seems to you don't know if it's veins or nerves, but that runs through their bodies. And if you're using it around any kind of ether, it kind of reacts to it.
So is it reacting as it draws it in, or it like even after it's dead, does it still draw in the ether? Does it?
It will if you touch it.
Huh.
You're not quite sure how you would quite use that, and plus there isn't like a whole raw ether isn't something you run into a lot. I mean, and usually it's either an ethermancer is controlling it, or it would be like your cells, the batteries you make, where even that you have to contain it.
To me, like this seems like a resource that we're gonna need at some point in time.
And you also don't know if it'll last either. If it's just like, okay, is this like effect that's going to fade with, how, or if it's permanent.
All right. So, when you remove these veins, you said there's 12 to 15 of these things.
Yeah.
So like, are we talking about like this much space, like this much space? If we strip them all off of
It becomes like a bundle. You end up with all these like bundles. Like you could actually wrap them together, and it'll look like a ball of like rubber bands or yarn or something. Because it's one network, so when you're doing it, you're probably like scraping them out individually and like peeling it away. So you end up with this almost like this like tree looking thing. It's like a root system, or it looks like a nervous system. Except for, it's only like this, it's only about 8 inches wide and, 3 foot long. So you could actually just like then take those pieces and ball them up.
Yeah, I will do that. Does it when we do that, because I imagine that Dr. Lucy knows more about biology, and I've actually got the agility to actually do things with the fine cutting. Does it seem to have like is it bio? Does it look like this is gonna biodegrade, or does it seem that it's more like related to ether?
When you're playing with it, it kind of like looks a little bit like fishing string, only like it kind of has that like feel and that look, but it's flatter. It's flatter and it's and it branches out in weird patterns that wouldn't be normal.
So Dr. Lucy, do we have to preserve to use, or is this going to just last?
I don't think anyone has ever actually tried to harvest this before. It may be wise to conduct experiments.
So you can write down the Strut Striker netting for now. Just put it down as that. So you guys, you're playing with that for pretty much the rest of the day, probably into the wee hours. It gets way more complicated once you begin stripping out their nervous system.
I take copious notes.
And then Pinkerton's like, "What are you gonna do with this stuff?"
We're not sure yet.
I when we were on Haven, like I imagine that there's powerful ethermancy that we come across. We have no idea what's going to be on the surface below. Like, what happens if like this is literally the thing that saves us from a word that's not used very often. What happens if we encounter powerful magic? This could literally stop it.
You think that creature was a creature of Aether?
I don't know. Only Commander literally touch it. Krezk was in its brain, but that doesn't necessarily tell. That's merely perception. We don't know what we're up against. It would be unwise to throw away a tool when it's literally, and I bounce it up in the air with how light it is.
Dr. Lucy, as you're talking to Bunny, and you ask, you like, hey, do you actually think those creatures are made of ether? And in your mind's eye, you see the little your little creature companion that's been riding with you for a while now, the dragon, give you a very cat-like look of amusement. Like if you've ever looked at a cat and you're thinking that cat is definitely laughing at me, that's the look you just got.
I smirk back because at this point, like, this one is mine, so I'm not as worried about mine per se as the outside voice, but I suppose you're right. It's best to prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
So yeah, so when you think outside voice, the thing within you begins doing the equivalent of what a cat does, you know, when they kind of like start threading in and out of your legs repeatedly.
Yeah, it's not a physical creature, so I can't reach down and pet it, but I mentally reach down and pet it, if that makes sense. This is very weird.
So, you know, with that, you guys have plenty of time to play with that. You know, whatever reaction you guys get from Israel and Raz and Krizik, I feel like they're just going to be like either weirded out or kind of whatever. Krizik probably just looks and shrugs is the impression I get, because that's what he does for most things.
Nerds. Science nerds.
Israel's sort of ignoring everybody and just standing on the starboard side, staring out into space.
Yeah. So, you know, the rest of the journey is pretty much uneventful. But those of you, Krizik, Bunny, Dr. Lucy, as you guys begin to approach the barrier, and it is miles and miles away, you can barely make it out. It's just like darkness, you know, a darkness in the off in the distance. You can still feel that pull, and as the ship begins to skirt around it to the east, as it's circling, you know, the whole time, you just get this impression. You feel this pull from. It's always the same spot. You know, before it was right in front of you, and as the ship would swing around and out to skirt it, you could feel almost like a tether to that one spot. Is just kind of like drawing you in, and you can feel it. It is not as distracting or as disconcerting as it was before due to Krizik's mental barriers, but it's still there. You're still aware of it.
But it's an aware as opposed to a, you know, I'm attacking you.
Yes, and you know, it's not keeping you up. And it's literally like, you know, if you have your eyes closed and you can feel where the sun's coming from, like it's like that.
Okay. So when the Strut Striker latched itself onto my gun, did it like drain it completely, and I need to replace that, or did I just need to?
Yeah, that cell is done.
So how many, and apart from everything that I was doing, how many extra batteries would you say I have?
You were that one was your 10th one, so you have 9.
As for Krizik, using my sight ability, I can see a mile ahead, and whatever that spot is that I want to look at within 60-foot radius of that spot, I can see and hear everything that's going on. So just in general, I'm looking around, including that spot if we get anywhere close. Just, you know, heads up, forward observer.
Okay. So, you know, when I'll just describe the first time you do it. After that, it's pretty much the same. You know, you get the crackle of lightning. You see the lightning, the purple and green lightning dancing through the dark clouds. Oh, you know, almost like fish diving in and out of the water, or serpents possibly. But other than that, that's all you really get. You're still miles away from Haven itself, so nothing seems to be out beyond there for the most part, but occasionally something will just come up against the edge of your sight and almost like be right on the peripheral of it and fade away, just kind of like dark spots that you almost see. So you almost feel a little bit like when you do that, things do come to check it out, but they never really go into the area where you're actually looking. Sorry guys, I'm laughing at the chat. Guys are crazy over there. So, you know, with that, you know, you guys angle around and you find yourselves, you're halfway between the planes of crystal and glass and the barrier of gloom when you guys begin to descend. Captain Vargan approaches the team and asks, "Is there any particular way you want me to do this, gentlemen and lady?"
Don't crash.
She gives you a withering glare.
I'm laughing in character too.
Don't crash.
You ever land on ground?
Oh, we're not landing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm
That's
not
not how
laughing
this-
anymore.
That's not how this works at all. I feel like Krizik and Raz for sure. They do know how this works. The other ship's more in the air, and they're gonna let out lines. And
Right.
then you
So
guys,
we're repelling down.
yeah, you guys are gonna rappel down. You know, sometimes they'll use cargo nets and things like that. This isn't really that kind of vessel. So, and also because this vessel is different than any of the others, it does have that. It does have that steel skirt at the bottom and the turbines underneath, so it wouldn't be able to lower anything directly underneath of it anyway.
I don't know about this.
I turn to Dr. Lucy and Bunny. You two need help?
Nope.
Probably, very likely, yes.
How much
Bunny,
you weigh? Don't mind.
Huh. That was a serious question. Probably about 125.
You take care of other 25 pounds. Krizik take care of first 100. And
Oh.
I will make her as light as 25 pounds. That's what I'm able to do with my telekinesis.
Okay.
Bunny, very good climber.
I
He
can
has
carry
no-
my.
He has no problem climbing down the ropes.
Actually, I could use my parachute boots to try him out. Have I had a chance to, like, I mean, it's been a while. Could I have, checked out how those might work?
Yeah, you figured it out fairly quickly. Couple
and
tests.
I can make sure that they actually work with my etherficing.
Yes, you could.
Oh, he jumped over the side. They were 1 use only. Oh, look
Yeah.
at that.
Cosplay prop.
Yeah.
And then the captain kind of smirks at Dr. Lucy. Don't worry, sweetheart. We're not going to have to moor that high. And then she kind of pats one of the beams on the ship. This old gal, she is equipped to handle this task. I think you're going to be pleased. And as it begins to descend, begins spiraling down slowly and gently, and it actually comes within like 15 feet of the ground.
Oh, that's not terrible. It's still a little bit daunting, but not as bad as I was thinking.
Now, Krizik and Raj, you've never seen a ship get this close to the ground. This is easily 3-4 times closer than you've ever seen a ship get. They always moor much higher.
This is an impressive vessel.
So
Vessel.
before we even got that far down, whoever was around, I would have certainly made a comment, to the extent of, to all those naysayers that said there was no ground below us, there's proof.
And with that, you are in a clearing. Is quite expansive. These are plains. They're not the glass and crystal plains that you had seen before, Roz. But you can see them off in the distance, glinting the sunlight from them and sparkling. And most of you, the rest of you, don't actually know what that is. But because Roz, you've seen it up close and from a distance, you know exactly what you're looking at. Here is just seems to be kind of like regular grasslands. The grass is about maybe 3-4 foot high. It goes in every direction for a few miles.
I look at grass that's 3 to 4 foot high and say that's gonna be a problem.
You can just ride on top of mud.
Oh, good answer.
And I would point off in the distance and point that out too. That is where the fields of crystal and glass are at. When the expedition, we were there 3 days. They took geologic survey. That is where people began to vanish. So I do not know. We should definitely be alert for any danger.
Now, how much of what was said out of character before did you share about the 3 missions that you were on?
Oh, I figured she told you guys about all those.
I don't
When
tattle.
when we were planning our
Roz.
course.
Roz is also
Yeah.
shooting.
Yeah. So is this place that you not be at dark?
No, that was the Forest of Ironwoods. Back to the south. This is where people began to just vanish, and they persisted on for 3 days, as if they had some kind of quota they could afford to lose us.
Well, hopefully we not have people disappear on us this time.
So what do we do if someone disappears? And I'm like taking samples as we're walking.
Should we rope ourselves? Should we rope ourselves or like a climbing expedition?
That's what I was going to suggest.
This is a good idea. I like this.
So the captain asks, how long am I supposed to wait for you folks to come back?
I do
Can
not
we go
know.
3 days?
That sounds reasonable.
How long?
He said
How long
3
is it
days.
going?
Okay. As long as we're taking packs of food and water with us.
Yeah, I mean, even if we find something, we should definitely come back to check in with the ship.
Sounds fair.
All right, 3 days and then I'm out of here.
You would leave us behind?
It's dangerous terrain. I can almost understand why she would.
Plus, I can keep in communication with the doctor or with the guy if we're within like a mile or so. So it shouldn't really be that big of a deal. We can always say, "Hold on, it'll be an extra day."
I imagine that we're going to range out far more than a single mile, dude.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be like a last minute thing. Look, how far can you yell, buddy? How far can you yell? Huh?
I don't know. Did I ever tell you the story how I almost got stuck on an island called Cozumel?
Are they colored flares?
In fact, maybe I can send like a little messenger with a note attached. Don't leave us just yet.
Flares. I do not think there are flares. I'm not sure.
Messengers. I can try and hypnotize a little creature to.
Well, you know what? There might be flares. There's gunpowder, so I guess there's flares.
Just need
Honey,
sulfur.
do you think you could find a way to dye this perhaps green or purple or something that is an unusual color for a flare?
I could certainly do that. I like fire.
Well, if we set off an oddly colored flare, it means wait a little longer. And that's for if we're not within a mile by the time we need to let the message go.
Why not make a system where you make one flare one color, one flare another color, one for come get us now, or another for we're gonna be longer.
I wasn't aware you had a rainbow at your fingertips, but if you do, then that would be phenomenal.
I can modify things. It's kind of what I'm good at, especially if we're talking about sending up fire. Fire's kind of my specialty.
What color do we use for get the shit out of here?
Brown.
While they're discussing all this, Israel's going to be loading packs with food and water and dropping them to the ground, and then he'll walk over to the captain and say, "Do what you got to do," and then he'll drop over the side.
Something wrong with that man.
He's very practical.
Always jumping off the ship.
You say practical, she just kind of cocks her head and looks at you like you're nuts.
It's an Aether ship. I don't actually enjoy being on it.
When
I don't think you enjoy anything.
Raj,
that's not true.
He enjoys picking on the other races.
Well, he does enjoy that. Raj, you have a funny definition of practical.
Well, I mean, we would definitely need food and so forth.
When has Israel ever picked on any of the other races?
No. The question is, when hasn't he?
If you read my mind,
He has never.
I will put a bullet in you. Like that doesn't seem
Yeah,
like a
but
very fair trade.
That's not a racial thing. That's not a racial thing. He would do that to anybody.
How many times have you referred to me as just the kobold?
How many times have other people referred to you as just the kobold, to be fair?
Well, there's 2 kobolds in this party.
No, I changed that. I now call you the engineer, and then there's the other kobold.
The other kobold.
Well, Commander's always dealt square with me.
So anyway, when Bunny goes over the edge, he climbs down the rope as any seasoned sailor.
All right. So, as you guys are, getting ready to disembark, and the Captain Varkin, turns to you and salutes you all. Happy hunting, and we will be right in this area, but we won't be this low. We won't moor here. We're going to moor higher.
So we were able to come up with a system.
Yes.
Awesome.
So you can easily come up with like maybe a 3 signal system. Come, run, and wait.
Once he touches the ground, Israel will actually kneel down and run his hands sort of on the earth, kind of do like in Gladiator, like pick up a little dirt, rub it in his hands. And he kind of sighs and nods, then stands up and just starts walking in the direction we're supposed to be going.
So,
and we know what happened to the Spaniard.
What's the air like here? Is it fresher, or with being surrounded by this much plant life? I imagine that it's a whole different environment.
You actually feel a little bit of a pressure in your chest from being this far down, and the air feels kind of heavy when you breathe it. You're
gravity.
Yeah. You guys are all acclimated to breathing really thin, much thinner air. The air is cleaner, but that's not that much that isn't really that much to get used to because you've been on the ship for a while. The cities, obviously the air is much dirtier. There's an industry going on and that kind of stuff. But having been out on the ship for weeks on end, you're kind of used to that. The clean air feels good. Being this low again feels weirder. It's not that it's darker, but it almost seems darker because you guys are so used to being so much closer to the sun, and usually you're at cloud cover or above. So once you guys dip below, you start experiencing something you pretty much never really experienced, and that's cloud cover.
I would say for Raz is probably instantly alert, but also kind of like relieved, where it's just like, this is where she spent a lot of time in danger, but it's like that is kind of comforting to be back in that, like, okay, I'm where I know that there's danger all around, so that's kind of comforting in a way.
Oh, then you feel plenty comfortable.
Yeah, and she's just definitely alert and keeping just constantly scanning, keeping an eye on her allies. And
so one of the things you guys find a little overwhelming is the smells. Because you can actually smell the earth. And, when Israel went down to touch the soil, it was black and rich, and it kind of clumped together a little bit when you ran it through your fingers. And actual soil isn't something you see very often. There are places where it is on the cities, and maybe you never think about it, maybe you just kind of take it for granted, but now you've never seen so much, and you basically see this ocean of tall grass all around you. It is actually above Krizik's head, probably, and above Bunny's head as well, unless you get on the back of Mutt.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to actually do in order to be able to see.
Yeah,
I'm tiny.
So before you actually do that, I think, how tall are you?
210.
Yeah, so before you actually do that, the only thing anyone else would see other than Krizik is the bunny ears, just above the grass, and then you jump on Mutt's back, and then now it's only up to your chest or whatever, and you can see just fine. Everyone else, it is like literally up to kind of it's up to like your waist.
So I'm totally gonna like open my mouth and taste all the smells in the air.
Okay, so yeah, you totally start doing that, and there's things that you've never smelled before, you've never tasted before. Even the grass, the feel of the grass is feels like scratchy and soft at the same time. You've never seen you've never seen this much growing plant life. Dr. Lucy, you've been in actual gardens quite frequently, and the elves kind of take pride in it, and you've actually been exposed to really affluent elves, so so you've had access to a lot more, but this is a bit of a rarity.
And also, plants are sacred to elves, so, really having a good time. I failed my save versus frolicking. I'm probably going to do a little bit of that.
Bunny would probably be right there with you, he's kind of just as much a kid.
Okay, so Krizik, Israel, and Raz, you're bearing witness to this very unprofessional like behavior of Dr. Lucy and Bunny as they kind of take in the local flora and begin kind of like wandering around in circles and like running through the grass with their arms outstretched and feeling it tickle their skin.
I'm kind of keeping an eye on him, but at the same time, it kind of is encouraging, and Raz probably smiles to herself, just like, it's nice to see people enjoying it a little bit.
Krizik just thinks they should maintain their military bearing.
Yeah, once he's about 100 feet away, since he just walked off, Israel's going to turn back to the party and say, "Frolic and walk at the same time." and other kobold, weren't you supposed to take?
I want Krizik, Israel, and Raz to give me perception checks.
All right. $23.
You said me too, right?
Yep.
I have things. I've got so much stuff, dude.
I had 3 explosions.
I've got other stuff. Everything. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna do in general regular. Crying out loud.
Well, you can substitute your any of your psychic stuff if you wish.
Okay, very cool. I'll just do that then. Because like I'm constantly rotating through stuff to try and see what I can see. 11. Psst, doesn't matter. Too much information.
All that for 11. And Israel.
Your mic is off.
Israel?
Yes.
Perception check.
Oh, okay. I thought you said somebody else.
You said non-frolicers.
I got an 11. That's
okay. All right. So, yes, those that are frolicking, they're not really paying attention. They're distracted, and they're also distracting Krizik and Israel. Krizik is just like, oh my God, why didn't they send soldiers? And Israel's like, oh my God, why didn't they send more humans? And Raz is like super alert. You've been to the surface before. You lost your arm. You've got scars on your side. You've lost comrades, and your head's constantly on a swivel. You're watching them frolic, but at the same time, you're watching your peripherals. You're checking your flanks. And at your 6 o'clock, you see the tall grass move, and you see a flash of something just beneath the surface of that sea of grass. The sun reflects off of something, and you briefly see a flash of white as you see a form that's like moving just below and seems to be creeping along. And like when you see that, that's when you recognize that there are more as well out there.
I would, because we said we're all tied together, I would definitely tug on all the ropes just to get everybody's attention and kind of do some hand signals like grass is moving and just like maybe motion for them to get down and point out the areas where I saw the grass was moving.
Okay. So you do that, and then from your 6 you hear Krizak, and then almost in response, from your 3 o'clock, your 12 o'clock, and your 9 o'clock, Kazak, Kazak, and you hear this call.
So we're surrounded.
It sounds like they're calling you, Bill.
They're calling me. What?
I'm gonna think to myself, Krizik, if you're reading my mind, come closer.
And here's the thing, like they attached to the vocalization, Krizik is there is a little bit of a psychic emanation as well, but they're not saying Krizak. And also,
it's funnier our way.
Well, it is funny your way. Also, it is it doesn't sound like a human vocalization. It sounds a little more animalistic.
It could be worse. They could be yelling other kobold.
So what are you guys doing now?
Brace yourself for raptors.
Yeah, it would
Kidding me?
definitely be just like
I thought it
tugging
was
on the
gonna be-
rope.
I thought it was just going to be like regular bunnies, and it was like Dave getting us paranoid.
Could be.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually try and look over there and see what I can see and spread to whoever cares to look. Should I ask for permission first?
As much as I like Ted's idea of 3-foot-tall bunnies, so what exactly are you trying to do?
I'm going to use my sight so I can see exactly what is there, see and hear, exactly what's there.
Okay. You actually you encounter some resistance, so you're gonna actually have to make a check for that.
It doesn't have to do with seeing anyone or anything. If the area has some kind of psychic feedback, I guess, but it's literally just seeing the area.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
But okay.
There's
Someone is
I
trying
got
to
a
stop.
20 on my 20 and a 4. Okay, so that's 28, and I re-roll my my 20-sider.
yes.
38. Tries to resist him like GTFO.
Yeah. So what was the total?
38.
38. Nice. So yeah, literally you can feel something kind of obfuscate your sight, right? And kind of like make it cloudy and murky, and you just re-exert your will, focus it like a laser beam, and it literally just shatters away. And with that, a creature looks up. You see it salivating at its jaws. Salivating its jaws. Saliva is flecking everywhere. Its teeth are pulled back. Or its lips are pulled back over its black teeth. And very much looks like an emaciated mandrill. Except for most of it is covered in scales, except for by its paws. There's like a tuft of white fur covering that. There's a mane of white fur around its head. Its tail is completely scaled except for the end. It's got like this lion poof at the end of white fur. And, you can see its claws digging into the ground, gouging into the earth. And embedded in those scales, which the scales are like these like electric blues and bright reds, almost like a baboon. But it's scaled. But every so often you'll notice something glinting off the light embedded in the scales, and it looks to be some kind of like stone or crystal.
Okay. I'm going to share this image with everybody, even Israel.
Okay. So that you guys all get the same thing.
And there's these all around, or just the one that we see?
How does your sight work, Bill? You're looking in one area.
Oh, 60-foot radius.
You just see everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's a good dozen of them at least, moving around, and when you do that, almost in unison, they all look up as if they're looking at someone or something looking down at them, and it's almost, now that you see them, it's more like a bark. Kazak, Kazak, Kazak.
So could you do that again, Dave?
Well, it's on video. We'll loop it later.
There you
Yes.
go. I'm gonna
There you
do
go,
that. I'm gonna
internet.
make a GIF.
Yep.
New
There's
Nerdarchy ringtone.
Nice.
Speaking in a quiet tone, if there are that many of them, they are very likely used to hunting in packs. Is there something you can do about that, Krizik?
I can try to calm them down, but that many of them is going to be difficult.
They're linked together.
Say that again.
They're probably linked together. If they hunt together, then they have to have a way to communicate together. And if they know that you're here, that's probably how they do it.
That's a good idea. I was actually thinking about trying to do some kind of psychic shielding. Actually, I can't do psychic invisibility until I get to level 6.
That might
And
have
Dave is
pack
really
leader.
stingy with the with the XP.
Come on, there's only 10 levels in the game, man.
Dominate the alpha dinosaur. Do it.
Okay, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to try and see. I'm going to try and use my other abilities through my sight ability and see if I can't locate aura. So by aura, it's like the paladin's aura.
Okay.
And I can see, like,
Nope.
are they unholy? Whatever. If you remember the thing.
Okay. So there's no roll necessary. These creatures are definitely psychic. They have a psychic bind to each other. And as you probe out, you feel like you're just probing one creature.
Okay, very cool. Okay, so can I find the alpha of them, or are they genuinely hive mind?
Hive mind.
Okay. Okay, so you know what? Okay, I'm gonna try and see if I can't. Demoralization could work. I wonder if I focused on just one of them. I could try to focus on just one of them. Or I wonder if I could try to break that link somehow.
Whatever he's going to do, I'm going to use my bolster in the form of just being like, whatever you're going to do, Krizik, I would do it quickly.
No.
And that would give him advantage 1 on whatever he's going to do.
Right, and you all do. We've never used them yet, but you guys all have a legendary point as well.
Oh.
From the very beginning.
What is that? You can give yourself advantage or something like that?
Yes, you can use it to give yourself advantage 1.
Nice. But if he's giving me one, I'll save it for when I'm alone. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to try and use demoralization.
And I'm just kind of trying to like wrangle everybody together and and just.
It's not going to.
I guess I'll stop frolicking.
Belt.
It's presence versus resolve, or whatever your ability is.
Okay, I'm gonna try and use what do you call incapacitated, and just try and incapacitate one of them, so that it's just bang unconscious, like paralyzed, whatever. So that's
And
my
that's like
agility.
a mental incapacitate.
Yeah, it's agility versus toughness, but I substitute my agility with my movement, so it's therefore going to be like shutting off their mind.
Okay.
Just the one of them. So, and my 6-sider exploded, but I get another 6, so that's 18, 20, 22, 23, 24. It's 27.
Okay, 27
versus their toughness.
Wouldn't
One of their toughness.
it be versus the resolve though, because it's a mental? You're attacking their mind.
I hear you, but that would be with my influence then. So this says agility versus toughness, and I substitute my agility with my movement.
Okay, well, yeah, but I'm okay with it. With it being, you can use that. Use your. Okay, so you're physically stopping them with your.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to like use my my telekinesis to, I guess, like stop the brain from moving.
Okay, all right, so
I got a mental image of a Slurpee, the coldest Slurpee ever.
And what was your total again? 28?
28 or 27, yeah, one of those two. Oh,
Okay.
Also, the advantage. So I get another 6-sider?
Yeah, you roll the lowest one.
It's either 28 or 29 now.
Okay. All right, so all right, so you get the mental image of you're using your power to shut one down, shut down its mind, stop it from moving, and it works. It freezes for an instant, and it's almost like someone like flips the circuit breaker, turning it back on, and with that they begin moving and closing in, and you guys see the grass. You see the grass around you, a ring of moving grass, and even like kind of beyond your 60 feet, you see more of it moving. So there's probably more than that dozen that you saw. They were just spread out.
Krizik doesn't know if Trick's gonna work on these things, guys.
Has everybody been able to like kind of bunch up?
Well, we're tied together, so we can't.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, get closer together? I mean, imagine there was some slack on the rope. If so, I'm going to use my arm to try and invoke the barrier that I can emanate from it that would cause a damaging property if anything comes near.
How big is that?
Let's see. It just says any creature that ends its turn within the barrier. It doesn't really have a.
No, there's definitely dimensions. Hold on.
What rank is your barrier?
3.
And so, how do you describe it? What does it look like?
I'd say like her arm kind of powers up, and it has and it's just like a kind of shimmering, multicolored ether barrier that emanates from it in like a bubble.
So kind of like Phantom Menace bubbles.
I don't recall exactly, but that sounds about right. Sure.
That the Gungans had. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so obscuring creatures cannot see through more than 10 foot of the barrier.
I
So
want to do the damaging one. You have to choose one property: is damaging, obscuring, or hindering. And I'm not seeing an area like number.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at now.
It just says create a specific area of effect to define the space of your barrier.
Spend a major action to move the barrier up to 30 feet.
Yeah.
For mobile, effect, description.
But not a huge, I mean, just maybe like a 10-foot radius or 5-foot radius or whatever. Just enough to get the 5 of us in there.
Okay, so for now, we'll just say it covers around the group for expedience sake. So you have a damaging barrier that is up. And how do you describe it looking? What did you
kind
get?
of like a bubble, but like kind of oily, or it's like multicolored, shimmery. You can see through it, but it looks like oil.
Okay, so so you basically power up your arm and slam it on the ground, and it kind of like erupts into this barrel, like this cascading barrier around you guys of energy. And as you do that, we might as well go into initiative now.
15.
I also have a 15.
I have 11.
I also got 15.
It's going to be a busy round of combat.
Suck it, 16.
All right, so I guess I go first at a 20.
Yes.
All right, so how clustered together are they?
How close? Right now, you don't actually see them per se. They're obscured by the grass.
Well, I guess I will hold until they come close enough that I can burn them. But I'm staying close to Roz so that if we can maneuver somewhere, because I think if there's beyond what we can see, this could totally be a situation where we might need to, kind of do a fighting retreat until we get to a place that we can defend or lock them out of.
So also, like, you could definitely target because you can see enough to target because of the way the grass is moving. It's easy to anticipate where something is. You just can't get a bead on, oh, there's three over there.
All right, well, then I will totally just, burn one.
Okay.
Ugh. I'm going to assume that's a miss. It's a 5.
Okay. You do miss, but as you blast out with your ether gun, basically, which is a flamethrower, the grass from here to there all begins to ignite. You're up, Krizik. So there is a fire now.
Oh, lovely.
Next.
Krizik, was it Krizik next, or?
Yeah, I got a 16.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to try and charm one of them.
Okay.
And I can do major charm on a creature of less than human intelligence.
Okay.
So, Ching, it's my influence, not the greatest, versus resolve. Hopefully it's not their greatest. And my 10-sider exploded. So 17, 19.
All right. So a 19 actually breaks through the resolve.
Nice.
What is your resolve?
My resolve
Yes.
is 15.
Okay. So when you try to charm one of them, you basically kind of invade its mind, and it's like pushing over a domino when you do that. And you feel all their minds at once, and you kind of feel them ganging up on you. And there is no way you're going to be able to dominate that one, because it's like you're trying to dominate them all. It's just one giant wall of intellect.
But they're less than, they're animals, right? I mean.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Primal savage animals. You think? What do you go at, Ty?
I'm waiting. I'm going to let the doctor go first.
Okay.
Since we both had 15s.
All right. I'm going to extend a hand, and a rolling bolt of void emanates forth. I'm using a persistent damage entropy attack. And that is entropy versus toughness.
Okay.
10 explodes. 34.
34 points of that. Okay. So a ball of black energy?
Yeah, and
basically
that's 1d6 points of damage per round until it passes its resistance thing.
You froze a little bit. Can you say that again, please?
That is 1d6 points of damage per round until it passes its resistance thing.
Okay, and it's entropy energy. So basically, like negative energy. Okay, it lances out. The ball hits one of the creatures square in the chest. You're able to kind of anticipate, which way it was moving, and it actually explodes into pieces. They come, explode into the sky, raining down, and from all around you, and out to a great distance, you just hear as these things kind of like bark out, but the tone has changed, and it's you can hear the pain as they seem to all feel it.
Interesting.
So, Israel.
Okay. I'm going to draw my pistol, cock it. Can I see them?
Same as everybody else. You basically see. Well, actually, you and you, Dr. Lucy, and them all go at the same time. So like, yeah, they're coming into the area where you guys are, and you can clearly see them. You can see their red bloodshot eyes. You can see what I described to Bill. The tufts of white fur around this electric blue and bright red scaling, and then you see these shiny pieces of crystal that seem to be wedged beneath or in between the scales.
Okay, well, since they seem to be connected or mentally or emotionally linked, I'm going to take aim and try to shoot one of them, and I'm trying to demoralize it.
Okay.
Or demoralize all of them. Let's see. Ooh. I got a 34.
Okay, so the 34, you totally catch one between the eyes, blowing its monkey brains out the back of its skull.
Okay.
And again, you hear the cries and howls of pain from all around.
Okay, and like I said, that was to hit or whatever. Like I said, I'm also trying to demoralize them, which is my presence versus their resolve.
Okay, so generally that's a bane you have.
Yes.
So generally the way that works, now it doesn't matter because you beat their defense by more than 10, so you automatically get to invoke a bane, and that's one of them that you can evoke. But normally the way it would work is you would either do the damage or you could try using the bane. But anytime someone does more than 10, and I'm sorry, Dr. Lucy, you would have also that.
Okay, well, I'm invoking demoralize then, and
okay. Again, it doesn't work because of their hive mind. They're actually able to shrug that off.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'm done then.
All right, a little bit of backtracking to Dr. Lucy.
Okay, when you were explaining that, I got a lag spike, so I didn't hear the tail end of it.
Okay, no worries. So because you beat the number by 10, you automatically get to invoke a bane.
Oh, I was already invoking a bane. Well, can I just move the damage to it, like the repeating damage to a different one, or is it like a different kind of bane?
So the way the banes work is either you're attacking with a bane, or you're adding banes to your attacks.
Yes, so I was attacking with a bane.
Okay. Oh, all right. Well, that would have changed things. All right. Well, we're going to flip it a little just because I kind of messed things up and say that you got to do the damage plus the bane. Because otherwise it wouldn't have done as much damage.
Okay.
So, but that was my bad. Sorry, guys. New system. Flubs will happen. So with that, it's then their turn. And, right now you guys can all see that you're surrounded by, their eyes, bloodshot and gleaming, their black teeth glistening with saliva and drool. They're snarling and growling. And that's where we're going to wrap up for today. We'll leave it right there. And next week we'll return. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. Hey guys, we still got a GoFundMe going on, and we're trying to get out to LA. We could really use your help. If you've already given, thank you so much. If you can give, we would really appreciate it. Every little bit helps. And if you've already given or you just can't at this time, that's fine. Could you please share it out on your social media? We really appreciate it. It goes a long way to helping us get out to LA so we can be on Geek and Sundry for GM tips. So unfortunately, with me going full time, I have a lot more time to work on Nerdarchy and make these things happen, but we have a lot less money to work with, unfortunately. So every little bit helps, guys. I hope you enjoyed the game today. I want to thank all you guys for hanging out and playing with me. I want to thank Brian Feaster and Open Legend RPG for sponsoring this game. We're having a lot of fun with it. We'll be back next week, same time. So with that, until next time, guys, stay nerdy.